Today on CCX News, winter weather returns. What the experts say about the impending snowstorm and its impact on the drought. Spring technically arrived earlier this week, but after a winter of very little snowfall and warmer than average temperatures, Mother Nature decided to switch things up. As Delaney Cleveland reports, we'll have to brace ourselves for an overdue dose of winter weather.
Winter is officially over, but Friday morning it certainly didn't look that way.
Spring is a reluctant visitor to Minnesota.
New Hope weather watcher Steve Ruckers says what every Minnesotan already knows. There's always a threat of winter weather in the early days of spring.
People probably think it's a little out of the ordinary because it's been so warm, so many 50-degree days and some 60s, even a 70 in there. So you get used to that and you think, gee, this is the way it's going to be. This is going to be a warm spring. And then all of a sudden this happens.
Ruckers measured 4.4 inches of snow during this latest snowfall, giving us a grand total of 17.1 inches for the whole winter. However, there's a possibility we could get another 10 to 12 over the weekend. Welcome news, he says, considering that we're in a moderate drought.
So anything we get, whether it's rain or snow, is certainly welcome to replenish, the wetlands and so forth, and streams and lakes.
Meanwhile, over in Robbinsdale,
it's the juxtaposition of seasons right now. It's the in-between.
Shelves at the Wellna Ace hardware store are mostly stocked with spring merchandise.
Grass seed and hoses and sprinklers and all the fun things that you think about for spring and summer. And then you've got ice melt hanging out alongside, and it just feels like this weird in-between moment.
Store manager Brian Dawson says the ice melt and other winter merchandise are relatively new additions to the sales floor.
We had packed everything away, all the shovels had gone to the basement, and suddenly when the forecast came out, we had to quick pivot and kind of make things available once again.
A sign that spring hasn't quite sprung. And as Prince once said, sometimes it snows in April.
We are hoping that Prince is wrong.
In Robbinsdale, Delaney Cleveland, CCX News.
In other news, Crystal police are investigating the discovery of a dead body. Police were called around 7:30 on Thursday morning to a suspicious vehicle call. They found the vehicle in the 3200 block of Hampshire Avenue North. Arriving officers found a dead body inside the vehicle. Police are asking anyone with information to call the Crystal Police Department. School resource officers are returning to schools after the state legislature updated a law that caused them to pull out last year. The new law makes SROs exempt from the ban on certain prone restraints and physical holds in schools. Police raised concerns that the previous version could hold officers liable for doing too much or too little in certain situations. A spokesperson for Brooklyn Park Police tells CCX News that the department is confident this new law has cleared up the issue. Officers are back in Champlain Park and Park Center high schools. Maple Grove Police Chief Eric Werner says 4 of its SROs will return to schools April 1st, and Plymouth plans to have SROs back on April 8th. There's a rebirth on the local theater scene. The Plymouth Playhouse, located off I-494 and Highway 55, sat vacant for several years. It first opened in 1974 and hosted well-known productions such as the Church Basement Ladies. But now a local theater group, For Community Theater, has taken over management of the venue. The goal is making sure the arts thrive there once again.
We love it here. We love doing our shows here. We hope other people love doing their shows here and sharing it with our audiences.
Our goal is to bring local theater back to the area, but not only local theater, local art. We're highlighting local artists on our walls, local breweries, local vineyards. Our goal is to have local talent on stage and in the space.
For Community Theater also opened its doors to other theater groups in search of space. That includes the return of Triple Espresso, the popular Twin Cities comedy show, which will begin a run at the Plymouth Playhouse starting in July. One of those theater performances at the Plymouth Playhouse opens this weekend. In today's weekend showcase, photojournalist Justin Scholl gives us a front row seat to She Loves Me, a musical by Maple Grove's cross-community players.
My teeth ache from the urge to touch her. I'm speechless, for I mustn't tell her.
This is based on a 1930s play called Perfumery. Most people would kind of know the story as you've got mail, 2 pen pals falling in love with each other through mail, but work together in the same store and hate each other in real life.
I can't stay.
You are not being very cooperative, Miss Bolish.
They fight with each other, they get on each other's nerves, and everyone gets to watch that tension kind of unfold, and then all the way to the end when they finally are like, oh my gosh, it's you.
She loves me, and to my amazement.
If there was a musical theater rom-com, this would be that.
I love her, isn't that a wonder?
It's full of this rich, luscious score.
Why I didn't want her.
I think they just are real and they have their flaws. The circumstances are not always just a positive, I'm happy, I'm in love, I'm gonna sing. There's conflict, but real life conflict.
You know whose fault this is? No, sir. Yours. Mine?
I hope they leave with endless music numbers stuck in their heads.
It's too nice to stay.
I hope they fall in love with the characters.
We can all be getting our prices. It's so nice.
She Loves Me is on stage at the Plymouth Playhouse through April 6th. Another local theater group is presenting a world premiere based on a book with a special unifying message.
Every name is special because your parents gave it to you because you're special.
That's 10-year-old Easton Johnson, one of the performers in The Name Jar. It opens today at the Hopkins Center for the Arts. The play is a collaboration between Stages Theater Company and St. Paul-based theater Moo. Actor Kevin Vang of Brooklyn Park says the collaboration brings together performers from different backgrounds, helping to share the play's message.
Realizing that our differences don't, differentiate us, but in fact unite us all, because it provides empathy for one another.
The Name Jar runs through April 14th, concluding with a special event that features both the book author and playwright talking about their creation.
The Wayzata boys basketball team will be shooting for their third state championship in 4 seasons Saturday night. Ches Moots has highlights from the Trojans' semifinal game.
Wayzata taking on Cretin Durham Hall in the Class 4A state semifinal game. Raiders up early in the first half, but that didn't last long. Jackson McAndrew puts the Trojans in front with a deep three. Wayzata then clamped down defensively. Wyatt Macbeth gets a deflection, then turns defense to offense, races down for the flush on the other end. Just a minute later, Raiders go under a ball screen. Isaac Olmstead takes advantage of that, sinks the triple. He had 12 points on the night. Wayzata up 37-24 at halftime. More of the same in the second half. Olmstead drives and kicks to Drew Nepstead. The Trojans hit 11 threes and shot 53% from the field. McAndrew led the way. He went 11-16 with 3 shots made from behind the arc for 25 points. But it was a collective effort from the Trojans. 11 players score for Wayzata. They hold the Raiders scoreless for a 7.5-minute stretch in the second half and advance back to the 4A state title game with a 74-48 win. In Minneapolis, Chaz Moots, CCX Sports.
Heritage Christian Academy qualified for the state Class A boys basketball tournament. The unseeded Eagles tipped off with second-seeded West Central area from Barrett in the quarterfinals.
The Eagles in the Class A field for the first time since 2018, West Central making its first state tournament appearance. Camden Anderson with a drive to the basket and scores. It would be a 23-point game for the senior. He gives the Knights an early 9-7 lead. Griffin Booms for HCA with a drive into the paint, and he hits the floater for 2 of his 8 first-half points. Turnovers, though, hurt the Eagles in the first half. The Knights trap in the backcourt, and it leads to a steal. Anderson and Azir dots for 2. West Central leads by 16 at halftime. The lead would grow to 19 at one point in the second half before Heritage rallies. Jonah Moulton with a 3 from the wing pulls the Eagles within 8. Then Abu Tarawali with a nice move to the basket off the low block and banks in 2. Heritage within 4. And when Josh Shokeye hits the jumper with just over 5 minutes to play, the Eagles are down only 2 at 53-51. But the Knights close out the game on an 11-2 scoring run. Bryce Chesbo takes this one himself to score 2 of his 16 points. West Central wins it over Heritage Christian in the Class A quarterfinals 64-53.
The University of Wisconsin River Falls women's hockey team capped off an unbeaten national championship season Sunday with a perfect 31-0 record. And a 2019 Wayzata High School graduate was there to lead the way.
Maddie McCollins had no way of knowing her college career would go like this. The Maple Grove native and Wayzata High School grad became not only a national champion for Wisconsin River Falls Sunday, but finished her career as the National Player of the Year in Division III women's hockey and the most outstanding player in this year's Frozen Four. McCollins netted 33 goals and 31 assists for the season, a long way from the 4 goals and 7 assists she tallied as a freshman. But she learned a lot back then from older players.
When I came in, I'm looking up to players like Callie Hoff and Abigail Stowe, and they're just to learn from them. I've learned so much, and then to be able to play with a player like Megan Goudreau, and she's just amazing, and I wouldn't be where I am without the players that I've played with previously and my teammates today.
I've said this many times, Maddie McCollins wasn't even all-conference honorable mention in our conference the first 3 years, and right now she's the National Player of the Year.
To go out on top like this, unbeaten and untied in a season in which your school hosted the Frozen Four, makes for a storybook ending.
I still I don't believe this is real. Every year we get so close, and it's so frustrating because we have an amazing team, an amazing program. To be able to soak it up with my fellow seniors, and I'm just looking back on this in a couple of years, I think I'm gonna miss it for sure, but there's no other group of girls that I'd rather win this with.
In River Falls, John Jacobson, CCX Sports.